Yeah, I think we could see them. And I think the point you articulated was perfect in that opening with like an archery range, building 4 Mangudai with double production, just getting a couple out can really force a massive overreaction from your opponent, right? So that can certainly do some work. So it looks like spawning here on the south side of the map, it is going to be Wham01, and he's going to be playing the Mongols. And up in the north, it is going to be VortiX and the Chinese.
Looks like we have something with the colors up. I'm not exactly sure if we have the colors correctly over here. Because we do have...
Did we get it backwards?
Yeah, so something is right. Okay, so VAM is playing blue Mongols, so the colors are wrong. But it's going to be blue Mongols for VAM, and it is going to be VortiX with the Chinese in red on the north. So, looks like we do have a pretty decent start over here for VAM. And look at that, he's going to be super successful finding all those sheep. That's a great start for him, not only because obviously that's something that he can consume himself, it's also because this way he's denying sheep from the opponent, a Chinese player that wants to supervise a mill and consume sheep at the beginning.
Yeah, this is a great start. I mean, he already has a ton of sheep. I believe I saw maybe like 7, 8, or 9 right there, and the Chinese players maybe getting his 3rd sheep right now, so that's got to hurt pretty bad. Certainly very good. And Mongols do have a great food economy, man. They're kind of like English in a way that they can just set up pastures, and then they're very... Uh-oh, he's running a little bit close to the TC here. If there had been some villagers, he could have lost his con right there. That could have been huge for sure, but it looks like he is able to get away. Thankfully for him, there were no villagers to be thrown into the ye old TC.
Yeah, that would have been an absolute disaster. I mean, you lose your con. It's not even like losing a scout where you can just make a new one. Losing the con means that you don't have him for 2 minutes, and you would have donated a bunch of sheep as well to the opponent. He's pretty lucky that there were no villagers close to that town center, so, well, he dodged a bullet there.
Certainly, man, certainly. And, you know, another thing to kind of point out about the King of the Hill map, which, man, this map is so great, is the fact that there, if I'm not mistaken, unless this was changed and my eyes deceive me, I do not believe that there are any trading posts on this map. So the silver tree play, although not super common, is most likely going to be off the table here.
Yeah, it would be an interesting thing, although I think I've seen one trader being made accidentally in Golden League, especially, like, it was on this map. I was like,
oh, yeah?
Okay, I don't even know. It might have been a Viper game, actually, or something, and you just randomly made a trader accidentally, and I remember that we were just looking at that trader for so long, and ultimately, it was just sent to the enemy base, and it's like, enemy was like, okay, what do I do with this?
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. And as you can see, some things, my friend, never change. We do have the Mongols, double producing spearmen here in the Dark Ages, looking to move up and maybe put a little bit of pressure. I mean, do we have any villagers coming up as well? No, it looks like it's just spears. So perhaps they're going to be seeing if they can find a slightly overextended gold position, maybe do a little bit of poke there. We'll have to find out. But again, on King of the Hill, you do have to overextend sometimes to get these resources as you do run out. So maybe the spearmen will find some very, very greedy Chinese villagers.
And if you look at the gold for VortiX, that's a bit of a problem. Because here's the deal. Now that the Chinese Imperial officers no longer cost 150 food, they cost 100 food and 50 gold. This means that you do have to mine gold in Dark Age with the Chinese, unless you want to delay your feudal age a lot, and getting your gold mine denied like that is not what you want. That is exactly why Van is pulling up the Spearman, and this is a problem for VortiX, because now his only way of getting gold is going to be with tax, and that's going to delay his feudal age so much.
Oh man, that's some brutal gold positioning, dude. That's like out in the far east, and the Mongols can just sit there, and we did indeed see a villager coming up. So there's going to be a villager moving into that position, setting up a tower there most likely, and that is just going to slow China down so much. It looks like they do have a barracks, which, of course, China can supervise their barracks as well. So maybe they're going to be able to match the spear numbers, but I would say an excellent opening for the Mongols, as the spearmen are now getting into the wood lines and might even get a villager kill here.
Because there was no wood. There was no wood for VortiX. He's trying to make spearmen, but he had to start chopping trees for that first. This is a tremendous amount of damage done over here, and let's not forget, he has to pay full price for every single spearman he makes, as opposed to the Mongols who get it at essentially at a 50% discount. So this is already an insane amount of damage done by Fam. And really, he just completely shattered the build order of VortiX over here with just those 4 spearmen.
Yeah, the Mongol cheat codes are continuing as the villagers are being forced to get their little shanks out and try and fight the spearmen there in the back. But yeah, I would say that VortiX here really kind of got screwed over in many ways by the deployment of his particular gold. I mean, that feels real bad. So we have the first Chinese spears coming out. It looks like we do have 3 spearmen going to be going after the Khan. The Khan actually looks like he is relatively low. It's kind of hard to tell, but overall, it looks like China might be able to get that villager. No, villager being microed away. We got 4 spears now, but also the wood line is being harassed, and villagers are going down back there.
Yeah, it looks like at least the tower is not going up. That tower would have been devastating, by the way, because that would have also reached the berries. In fact, it would have been probably for the supervised mill rather than the gold mine. Tower gets cancelled, Vam is going to pull back his forces, but I mean, the damage has been done over here on VortiX, and it looks like he's going to find that other tower that's being placed on the right side. Spearman should be pulled back to deal with that momentarily.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, very impressed with the hold here from VortiX. He was put in a very tough position, and he was able to, respond very calmly and push back the Mongols here. And it looks like he might even be able to get the villager, which will kind of end the threat of the towers coming up. We'll see if he's able to get the pick there. But of course, the Mongols did force a barracks out. They denied a lot of gold time. And overall, I think that the harass that we did see here from the dreaded Wham was quite effective for sure.
It looks like more spears are coming in here for Vam, but he can't save that villager, and now this is swinging in the favor of VortiX, actually, because he will have resources for Feudal Age, as compared to Vam, who just committed so much effort into making this happen. He has done some damage to the opponent, but ultimately, he might have even overcommitted to this a tiny bit, I think.
Yeah, certainly. Very, very good hold here, as we do see the barbecue of the sun coming up. So the Barbican here is going to be helping to fend off this harass, and of course China is going to be building things quite a bit quicker, so that should be up soon. I still would imagine that China will continue producing spears just to make sure that their wood line in the back is going to be secure, but Mongols really going pedal to the metal on this push and trying to get in there, but it looks like they're going to be losing most of their spears, and if they don't leave soon, that Khan maybe could go down to the barbecue as well.
Yeah, you gotta be careful because there is no second scout added here by Vam, so losing the Khan means that you lose all your vision that you have all across the map. He's trying to put up as much pressure as he can, but ultimately he's gonna get cleaned up, because right now that Khan is trapped in there, so the Spearman should be able to deal with this if he can't find a way to escape. And Vam, now going up to Feudal Age himself. The problem that he's facing is that now VortiX is up to Feudal. At least the good news is that, VortiX is nowhere close to adding a second town center, for example, so if that was the original plan for VortiX, for example, Wham was able to delay that quite nicely.
Certainly, and the Khan hears the drums in the deep as he's going to be trying to escape here, and it looks like he's just barely able to hug the edge of that top line there and get away. But I've seen this happen many times myself, and let me know if this has been your experience with the Mongols. I found that Mongol players can put on this early aggression, going heavily into wood and food in the Dark Ages, put on pressure with the spearmen using the OVO and the free spears. But on top of that, by setting up the early pastures, I found that Mongol players, despite the fact that they sometimes hit the Feudal Age a little bit slower, can really skyrocket through the Feudal Age using their pastures and not having to really look for alternate food sources. And they can certainly, not be that far behind despite the early pressure.
Yeah, that has been a tendency for some time, I think. So, especially in the age of Mongol tower rushing, that was pretty consistently done by Mongols. You go for that Dark Age aggression, and then you follow it up with essentially a straight Castle Age, because by the time you get to Feudal, you will have a pretty decent resource bank, and as you pointed out, there is enough sheep for you to get the food you need for Castle, and you just follow it up with like men-at-arms in Castle and then forward siege. Now, one thing to note here, though, is that Vam is in no position to go up to Castle Age yet, and the concern for him is that he saw the stone miners. He knows very well that, okay, I'm going to see a 2-town center play here from the Chinese. What do I do against it? Because I am not in a position to push right now, and I'm nowhere close to Castle Age yet.
Yeah, he could. I mean, and that's one of the things about Mongols, too. I mean, they have one of the most powerful landmarks in the entire game via the steppe redoubt. It's so good. So even if they are a little bit behind in terms of like overall villager count or eco, if they are able to get Castle Age slightly ahead of the Chinese, they can just get so much gold and put on so much pressure via the Lancers and heavy stables investment in the Castle Age, while the Chinese will still be kind of fumbling around with the the Feudal Age. But here comes the second TC, and it looks like it is going to be Song Dynasty coming down as well. So this is going to be increasing the villager production by 35% for the Chinese. They're certainly going to be getting a huge eco boom here. And again, like you said, I'm quite curious what the Mongol response is going to be. It doesn't look like the Mongols are producing like a massive amount of military. It looks like they are saving for the Castle Age, as we do see about 750 food and about 400 gold right there.
Yeah, some towers are also being placed, and you get the feel that the Mongol player is understanding he can't catch up in terms of villagers. It's next to impossible with the Chinese. So one thing that you can do is try to fortify the middle, though, because you could have a ton of wood in the bank. In fact, you already have that for Ram. Go up to Castle Age and start dropping Springo towers, and the moment you get to Castle Age, you drop a prayer tent, you capture that sacred site, and put the Chinese player on timer, because if given time, the Chinese player will be able to capitalize on that extra town center. So the best thing that you can do, not give them time.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that would be an awesome play, but not only from a tactical perspective, but I think for everyone here in chat as well. I think that'd be quite fun to see like an epic hold up on the sacred site. And that's usually how a lot of these games do indeed go. Look at the aggressive walling from China, really taking a lot of map control. We have walls on the west side, the Walmart wall of China. It's made of wood. It's not the Great Wall, but it's trying to get there. But they are going to be setting that up to prevent, lancers from coming through in the Castle Age. And I would imagine China is going to do the same thing on the east to try and funnel the Mongols into the center where they're a little bit more defended. And there is the step readout. We're going to be seeing most likely some lancers coming out for harass, I would imagine. And look at that, man. You're prophetic. We do have the first tower going up on the sacred site.
Yeah, the key thing here, I think, for VAM, as we could see before this, VortiX lost like 4 or 5 villagers making those walls, and that's going to cost him precious time when it comes to building up his ecos. So those walls on the right side or on the eastern side, those definitely cost a lot for VortiX. But at this point, I think the key thing to consider for VAM... Oh, wait a second. Oh, tower
yeah, there was like
gold
6
miners.
villagers.
Ooh,
there was like
ugly.
6 villagers that went down there. They were building that wall, and there was, I think, must have been like 5 or 6 villagers went down to that little tower there on the east side while they were trying to build that wall up. So certainly a very nice gift for the Mongols here. But the villager count currently, not that big of a discrepancy, dude. We have 36 villagers for the Mongols and only 39 for the Chinese right now. That's rough. And Mongols have readout going on. They're in Castle Age, and I think that sacred site is going to be taken relatively soon.
Yeah, and looks like, is that a prayer tent coming up? It should be, yeah, it is. And now the key thing for VAM is not to use the double production, because you don't want to spend your stone on your units. It sounds awkward, but you want every single tower to have spring golden placements, because taking that down for the Chinese is gonna be awfully difficult. And this is the problem that VortiX is facing. Look at his food count. He's nowhere close to Castle Age, and because he lost so many of those villagers, it's going to take some time to build up his eco. VAM can put him on a timer over here, and it's going to be very difficult for VortiX to get that sacred site decapped.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly tough. We're going to be seeing a combination of Lancers and or Men-at-Arms coming out. I mean, the gold income for the Mongols is just going to skyrocket. They already have their first tower up. And I mean, China, I guess like, they have a fancy tower there on the east side. They want vengeance for all the villagers that went down to that Haggard Arrow Tower. So they built a giant stone tower themselves. But obviously, the Song Dynasty is pretty cool for sure. But yeah, not seeing any inkling of big pressure up in the middle. And have we seen the shaman come out yet? Is he moving around the map? Have we seen one produced? I don't know if I missed it myself.
I think it's... Oh, yeah, it's actually double shaman.
Double shaman, baby. Let's go.
I actually love it. Yeah. That's a great way to use your stone. You save a lot of gold with that, and that's pretty helpful at the beginning. You can use one to get the middle, and you can use the other to get the relics back. And obviously, you will be behind in terms of villagers, but you can make up for that quite well, having the step redoubt, as you said, and having the relics. And while the relics give you an immediate boost, having 2 or 3 extra villagers needs some time to pay off for the price of that second town center, and of course the food that you spent on them. So it's a great way to get an instant boost to your economy with the Mongols to pick up the relics and that sacred site.
We got the first Lancers moving in. Sacred site is going to be coming down. Only 1 tower at the moment. Looks like a Spring Alden placement is on the way. That guy sitting there with his relic, feeling mighty fancy, as the other shaman does come in from the east with that relic as well. So this is going to be very strong for the Mongols. And again, look at this. This is beautiful. Building a second TSC as well. So he's got the Castle Age. He's got the double TC. He's only down by about 12 villagers. He's got the relics. He's got the sacred site. I feel like so much is going just so much better for Wham here. And yes, the Chinese do have an amazing farm infrastructure. They have the granaries doing quite well in that regard, but it's going to take so long for them to catch up. And really, considering all the variables we just articulated, I don't think the Chinese are even that far ahead in terms of eco.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one, because you will have 3, 4, potentially 5 relics even for Wham. So obviously that's going to compensate. There is the step redoubt, and you pointed out the Chinese farming eco with the granaries, but let's not overlook the pastures eco for the Mongols
the
as well.
Pastures, yeah.
It's...
I think they're all near the Ovo as well. So yeah, they're just going to be bathing in sheep back there. So there's a whole bunch. The second TC, and the middle is now taken. So the timer is on, man. And nice blacksmith coming up. Probably going to be getting some basic upgrades for his troops up on Ye Old High Ground. And he just claimed his second relic there. But I'm surprised we're not seeing more towers up there. I thought we would see like a Helm's Deep up on the hill, just the big tower wall. It looks like it's only 1 right now, which kind of means the Chinese could move up with like maybe 10 spears and get that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I get the feel that Wham is not playing an all-in style here. So he could technically justify just playing 1 town center, drop 10 towers in the middle, start spamming army, and just play for that countdown. He's not doing that. He's playing for a slightly longer game. He still wants to force the Chinese to make a move. but he's also building up behind this one. So I guess the idea here for Wham will be that, okay, I will force my opponent to commit so much to decap the middle, and because I myself have a good economy, I will just essentially grind him down as he's trying to take the middle, and then finish him off with a counterattack.
So we finally have Castle Age coming in at 15 minutes and 15 seconds here for the Chinese. And there's going to certainly be some Nest of Bees coming out, I would imagine. And yeah, looks like more and more Lancers. Lancers, of course, very, very good here for the Mongols here in the Castle Age in terms of pressuring into the Chinese base, trying to keep them pinned back with the aggression. And archery ranges are going to be the follow-up, right? So it looks like it's going to be archers. And with the amount of gold the Mongols are just bathing in right now, look at the gold per minute for Wham. That is huge. He's getting 1,335 gold per minute. Crazy! And he's just going to be getting crossbows and lancers. I mean, he can afford just all these gold-intensive units, and China just feels so far behind right now. The villager count is 74 against 56, which is nice for China for sure, and they can continue to grow that lead. But yeah, this is looking pretty tough. And I would imagine, how many minutes do we have left on the sacred site? Do you happen to remember when he captured it?
Well, there is a better thing with that. At the bottom left of the overlay, there is even a countdown
for
us.
Oh my god, look at that, dude. Science fiction technology. I love it, man. We've truly advanced our civilization here. But we do see the spring ults coming out. So anytime, for all of us FFA players out there, one of the most annoying things is when the Mongols have like a million towers up and then just like spring ults guarding them. It's so hard to get through those. And we do see the first spring ult being built here by the Mongols. Honestly, I don't see how the Chinese are going to crack this without losing a ton and just putting the Mongols even further ahead.
It looks like it's going to be a horseman play coming in here from VortiX, so he's getting the veteran horseman upgrade and traction trebuchet. So Vam also wants to put up some pressure on the opponent, and we have heard this a lot of times throughout history. Offense is the best defense, and that's true. Force VortiX to defend, and that buys you time to just keep control over that sacred site. And as you pointed out, ton of gold income for Vam with the step rate up and now 4 relics, the sacred site in the middle, because sure enough, the sacred site countdown is essentially a win condition for him. But let's not forget, it's also giving 100 gold per minute passively, so that's also a nice little boost over there from it.
I would have to say, trebuchets, one of the most gratifying feelings in the game is when you're playing against Mongols and actually you're able to finally get rid of those towers with like a big trebuchet just two-shotting them. But we do see trebuchets coming out from the Chinese. They are going to be clock tower trebuchets, which means they'll have a little bit more HP. However, there are a lot of spring ults, and those are turbo spring ults motivated by the YAM network, so they're going to be a little bit faster. That wasn't changed, correct? The YAM network still does buff the speed of artillery, yeah?
I don't think so anymore. I think they actually nerfed that because that was really powerful.
Yeah, okay. So no more turbo spring ults, but nonetheless, they're still going to be able to move up. They have the cover of towers, and they can really kind of keep those trebuchets honest. And look how the Mongols are just layering towers. They have towers in front of the Chinese base. Just a huge nest of towers they have to get through. And I think China's army is really just a handful of spears and a couple other basic units. I think I saw a bunch of stables coming up in the back, so perhaps a bunch of Chinese lancers of their own?
Yeah, I mean, Lancers here would be a little sketchy because Vam does have a decent amount of crossbows. Horsemen seem a little more reasonable, and yeah, it's gonna be a horseman play.
Yeah.
The good news for VortiX is that Vam is essentially unprepared for that. Vam's got archers, Vam's got spring ults, and Vam's got crossbows. He doesn't seem to be expecting the horseman play, and that could be a problem for him coming in very soon. If he starts adding spears, then VortiX is gonna have a very limited chance to decap this, because quietly behind the scenes, we are down to 5 minutes countdown, and VortiX is yet to make his push.
Yeah, I mean, I think even with the Horsemen, though, I think you raised a great point that they're going to be incredibly effective against those units. I think they're just going to get punished by the Lancers in conjunction with the Springald Towers. And if you look at the artillery advantage, I mean, like that even goes to the Mongols as well. They have like a legion of Springalds rolling through the hills. They have their own trebuchets bombarding the barbecue of the sun. They also have the advantage that they can make these up on their high ground position. Dude, that's so tough, dude. So many towers coming down. China is just going to get Last Samurai here when they march out. It is going to just be an absolute shooting gallery, and I don't really see much hope for the Chinese here. I mean, granted, they do have 92 villagers, but it's only, you know, the Mongols aren't that far behind. They have 75 and all the relics and the sacred site. Like, the ecos are relatively even at this point, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that even is not the word that VortiX wants to hear right now. He needs to make something happen over here. And once again, even trade between the Springolds over here. Better HP for VortiX, better numbers for Vam. But that is a win for Vam, because as long as VortiX is not pushing the middle specifically, Vam is going to be happy, and we're down to 4 minutes. 10 minutes, Sacred Site countdown feels like it's a lot, but it's actually not that much.
Yeah, it goes by quick. It certainly does. Yeah, and I think it's going to come to the point where we're going to have to see the dreaded villager pull to even try and survive. He's going to have to bring all the villagers with their pitchforks and farming tools to try and get through this, because this is just looking so tough right now. As we do have a single trebuchet here for the Chinese, but I mean, there's just massive springald numbers. The Mongols have map control. They're getting all the gold. I think China is almost mined out of gold as well. I think they have like one gold node up in their base, just a really sad, pitiful gold. Oh, and they get the snipe on the trebuchet as well, man. That's got to feel pretty bad.
Yeah, VortiX is building up a great farming eco, which is absolutely amazing if it wasn't for the fact that he has 3 minutes on that timer, and his army is looking pretty underwhelming. 14 spearmen, 27 horsemen. It's actually quite a lot numbers-wise, but as you pointed out, Lancers, the Springald Towers, that might be a little too much to deal with.
This is so brutal, dude. Look at them moving up and through. And then they think they're going to be like, okay, we got past the towers and artillery. And then as soon as they do that, it's like moving into the Gatling guns, right? Just like a huge Mongol army, which is massively superior to the Chinese force, which is basically just spears and horsemen. And they're just being blasted by Springalds. That's most likely going to be GG there. I mean, certainly is. And very, very well played. That was a clinical Mongol game. And yeah, certainly feels familiar for myself.
Very well played there by Vam. And really, the essential part of this one is that he diagnosed that, okay, my opponent wants to play an eco-heavy game here. He's building up multiple towns in our Song dynasty. He needs some time to capitalize on that, and Mongols are great with their power spikes. Get to Castle Age with their efficient economy, then they get the Steppe Redoubt, and they can use that to capitalize on map control, pick up all the relics, and then secure that sacred site, and from that point on, you are the defender. So this is one of the more important dynamics of this map here, that sure thing, your base is much more defendable compared to what it used to be in the old version of this map. But you also get very heavily punished if you're not pushing out and contesting map control at all.
Yeah, certainly, man. And yeah, the 2TC, of course, is very strong with China. With the Song Dynasty, it can do some work. But I feel like on King of the Hill, like you have... With just one sacred site there in the middle, the fast castle is so alluring for sure, and the Mongols are really able to punish the Chinese super hard with that. And I mean, even with the Song Dynasty, the Mongols were able to kind of keep pace with their own second TC, and of course, getting all the relics and whatnot. And yeah, that was a brutal game, man. That was incredibly well played. So congratulations to Wham 0-1 there with the 2-0 in that first best of 3 of the day. Looking at the resources here, Wham was ahead on pretty much everything. Of course, we saw VortiX becoming the Dark Lord of the farm economy there. But aside from that, it looks like the Mongols had them beat on pretty much every resource.